Hello, hi everyone, and welcome to Cosplay Self-Destructs. My name is Martini, and I will be the moderator this afternoon. We have some amazing other panelists. So first, I will allow them to introduce themselves. So first, Dame Dahlia.
I'm Dame Dahlia. I've been cosplaying for about 16, 17 years. I forget how long. Started out basically just supporting my husband, going to conventions, and decided I wanted to do something for myself so I could enjoy them too. And made my first costume. It was Starbuck from the new Battlestar Galactica, Kara Thrace. And I had the time of my life, and I've been hooked ever since. I do a lot of charity work for the last 5 years. I've been part of the Central Pennsylvania Heroes Coalition and the Philadelphia Avengers. And we do, we visit kids. We raise money for different charities like Alex's Lemonade Stand, which helps kids with battling juvenile cancers. The Ronald McDonald House, just all different types of things. It's kept me sane. Literally, I have a PTSD and severe anxiety disorder, and being in costume has allowed me to go out in public when I normally would not have been able to. And now I can go out in public not in costume. So thanks to costuming, I've been able to do that.
Yay! Thank you so much for being here today. We're already getting some people in the chat. Hello, hello, people in the chat. And then we have Jasmine Cosplays.
Hello, everyone. I am Jasmine Cosplays, also known as Jay Stillapek. I have been cosplaying for about 5 years. I have always been a geeky nerd type person. I went to my first convention about 6 years ago and saw people in costume, and I said, I want to try that. So I started dressing up as Samus Aran, Dark Phoenix, Hela, and of course, Silk from the Spider-Verse. I'm a non-binary, femizenting, transgender person. So I worked with LGBTHQ, and I've been on panels and been able to be an advocate for body positivity and cause positivity, and people trying to live their truth and answer their call to authenticity. I also have worked with charities like Foundation for Heroes, which goes to churches and trunk or treats and hospitals in the DC, Maryland area. Also, I've worked with the Finest G.I. Joe Cosplay Club. They do charities for selling calendars and such for wounded warriors. And I'm a Navy veteran myself. And I love cosplay because you get to pretend to be your favorite character for a little while and show off. It's the best way to let your nerd flag fly, I like to say.
And also, you have better backstories.
Thank you. I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own creation. Being a gamer and a role player and a writer, I created Better Backstories, which is a deck of cards that you use to jumpstart your imagination and create more detailed backstories for characters in writing, role playing, and such. And I can talk about that later. I have a table at the con, so feel free to come by and I'll give you a free demonstration.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. So I highly recommend. Okay, that's just Lilani talking. I was like, there's a big thing that came through the chat. That's just Lilani, our very gracious tech host, talking about some of the things that you can do in the chat. So thank you so much. Oh, something came up in the Q&A. Oh, DJ Star Sage, I'm about to answer you. I am Martini. I am a DC area drag performer, theater artist, costume designer. I don't know, cosplayer, drag queen. I don't know what else I've said. I host a cabaret called Eleanor's New Deal Cabaret that I keep forgetting to plug and talk about. So, oops. Anyway, I am currently dressed today as Ruby Summers, who is the alternate future daughter of Emma Frost and Scott Summers, aka Cyclops from the X-Men universe. My cosplay is very much rooted in a Z-list pull I love the lesser known characters. I love characters that have been in like 2 panels, 3 issues. I love that kind of stuff.
Your Scatterbrain gives me life.
Yes, and I will be talking about Scatterbrain today. So I love just a character that when I go to a convention or make an appearance or post something on social media and people are like, oh my gosh, I've never seen that character before, because people don't remember who that person is. And it's not for like the recognition of, oh, you're the only person who's done this, but it's for people who are just like, oh my gosh, I never thought that anyone would do this character before. So that's what I love to do in my cosplay and costuming. So awesome. So today we're going to be talking about Cosplay Self-Destructs, which, I mean, as any cosplayer knows, it is a thing that happens. So we're gonna go through. And talk about some of our experiences, either what we've learned from that experience or what we did in the moment to sort of fix it. So first, since Jasmine brought it up, so Scatterbrain is a character from the Excalibur series from Marvel on a team called the TechNet. She's yellow, so I painted myself yellow. And she like, my favorite part of that whole costume is I hand dyed her hot glue guns for the win. I mean, sometimes you don't have a plug though close to you to do that. Someone said in the chat. But I painted myself yellow. I hand dyed tights. They ombre from red to yellow. So it was like this whole thing, like hand dyeing them was hard, but also cool, and I love them. But she ends in yellow, so I bought myself a super cute pair of yellow pumps. So when I wore Scatterbrain to BlurredCon in 2018, I really hadn't been to a lot of conventions, and I really hadn't done a lot of like I had done like some drag performances, I had done some cosplay, but like I'd never done like all day at a convention before. So these yellow pumps that I bought were pointy-toed, narrow, 5-inch heels, which were stunning and matched my tights perfectly. However, rookie mistake, like being at a convention for like 6 hours, my feet were killing me. Always like, so I still sometimes do wear a nice 6-inch shoe, just for S's and G's. But the shoes that I wear now are much more comfortable. Like they're especially not like the pointy-toed ones. So that was like my first mistake.
Okay.
My second mistake in that costume was, so her top is also like sort of all bust strapless, like at bust level. So I had to paint like half, like from shoulder up, yellow. I had also never done that before, so I didn't really know how to take it off. So all I had was makeup wipes, and then like my super abrasive face wash.
Ooh.
So I had not learned to today about Pond's cold cream, which is old school. Grandma uses it to remove her makeup kind of stuff, but it is a wonderful product. I'm about to use it all over my body after today's panel. But yeah, so I spent so like when I was done at the convention that day, I think spent a good 45 minutes doing nothing but scrubbing my face and body. My poor skin hurt so much because I was just rubbing with the wipe and then scrubbing with the abrasive stuff. Oh my gosh, it was awful. Yes. So Pond's cold cream, as Sarah has just said in the thing, it's perfect for winter use too, because it's moisturizing. The oil in it will break down the makeup, and so you can just like get it all off. But it also has like the moisturizing for your skin, because a little bit of self-care, but also like, especially if you're going to be a body painter, if you're going to do this kind of nonsense, which apparently Farpoint has become like the con that I do stupid colors of skin. Like it's Pond's cold cream. Like when last year when I did Nebula, like it took me 5 minutes. 5 minutes to get all of that blue off my face. It was a delight. So, Dame Talia, do you want to talk about one of your experiences?
It was at Halloween and at the local LGBT center. They were doing a kids Halloween party. And I was dressed as Batwoman, who I've been Batwoman for years. And, you know, it was great. And I bent down to give a little kid a hug and rip. I had 2 hours left at the center. And I was very, very thankful that I had a cape because that saved a lot of embarrassment. And I had to just make sure that my cape was wrapped around me because when I took off my suit, I had ripped all the way down, not just from the end of the zipper down, it was the whole back.
Oh, goodness.
The suit was holding on for dear life.
Oh my goodness.
And I didn't realize how bad that rip was. And again, this was a children's event, which can be very, very dangerous. And, you know, had it been adults, it would have been a little bit embarrassing, but probably not near as bad because you don't want kids to see superheroes with their suit ripped all the way down the back. So that is probably something, you know, you couldn't get away with it. I couldn't stop. I couldn't just duck into the restroom and change clothes. I didn't have anything else. So I just, like I said, I just made sure that my cape was wrapped around me and made sure that I was covered completely in the back, and very thankful that it wasn't the front.
Thank God for capes, right?
You know, Edna Mode says no capes, but sometimes capes are necessary and are lifesavers.
All right, Jasmine.
Oh, well, see, I don't have any big self-destructs. I have a lot of like little things, like you talking about your heels and not being familiar with wearing the heels. I had my Samus and I had a beautiful pair of heels that I dyed. They were a 6-inch heel, a 2-inch lift with a 4-inch heel, so 6 inches overall. They put me right at the height of the character. I don't feel like Samus if I'm not wearing them. That's how important that's how integral they are to her character. And I go to the convention, and you know, you walk from the car to the convention, and you're fine. And then you start walking around, and
There's never enough places to sit at a convention.
No,
enough.
But that's not the point, because no matter, even if I'm sitting, my foot is still wedged into this heel, so that didn't help. But about an hour, my feet really started to ache because not only were they a high heel, but they had an open toe. So my foot is constantly trying to escape and it's not going to fit. So, but then after like another hour of let's kind of like gritting through it, it kind of got better because my foot went numb. And I was like, okay, I can get through this. So maybe another hour, I'll be fine. And then finally I was like, okay, I've had enough. Let me take these off, put on a pair of sneakers. My foot had gotten so used to being vertical, it didn't want to flatten out anymore. And now that hurt. And it was like, no. So definitely test out your shoes for, you know, put them on while you're cooking dinner and cleaning the house. Try them out for several hours before you go to a convention where you can't take them off. Or if you do take them off, you have to carry them.
So like I call that like roller skate syndrome. Like after you've been roller skating and your feet still feel like they're roller skating. Sure. Like, yeah, after wearing heels for a long time, like your foot just kind of gets in that position and you just, it definitely hurts. So my thing that I also will say about wearing heels at a convention, unless you're going to be changing your shoe, meaning like putting on a different shoe, I highly recommend just don't taking them off. Because as soon as you take them off, your foot starts to swell, and then when you try to Cinderella your foot back into that shoe, your full stepsister, and it's
Right.
not the same. It hurts more. I also wore, so even though like they're my more comfortable shoes, they're still 6-inch stilettos, but I wore it at New York Comic Con, and New York Comic Con is the worst concrete floor ever. Like most convention centers are just concrete floor regardless, but New York is one of the worst. And I wore them with like my like housewife Wonder Woman dress, and I would like sit down for a while and like take them off, and it made it so much worse. Like it just, which then led me to paying for a $200 gondola ride back to my hotel. So I was like, I'll get in like this cute little carriage, and like they'll drive me back to my hotel, which was only about 2 blocks away. So it really wasn't that far. But also, don't take gondolas in New York City. They're
Right.
ridiculously expensive.
So after I'd had the issue with my heels, I said, okay, I have a Daphne character and she's wearing flats. And these were just like a pair of little slippers that a friend had made for me, really basic flats. And they just, painted them and glued the little bow on them. And I thought this would be great. Got to the convention again, the Baltimore Comic-Con convention hall, hard concrete. And these shoes had no padding. It was just a solid, sole. And it was actually more uncomfortable walking around in that than it had been in heels. And I've walked, and again, find a pair of heels that works and then build all your cosplays around them. Now, for a lot of my bodysuits that have heels, I split them open and I designed the heels to hook around the shoe. So I can wear the same shoe in multiple cosplays and I know it's comfortable and it fits.
So like going off of Jasmine and then our friend Dax, I now have a pair of what we call comfortable con wedges, which are supportive, and they're a wedge, and they fit wonderfully under a Zentai suit. So you don't lose the line of like the full foot, because most superhero suits are like footy pajamas. So you don't lose that line, but you still get the heel to make you feel like a lady. But it's not as crazy. So JA said, had a friend whose Achilles literally shortened from wearing 4-inch heels all her adult life. I will be looking forward to that surgery.
That's why I wear flats. The only heels that I wear is when I'm Mary Poppins.
Sure.
I just can't. My back won't allow me to wear heels for too long.
Well, and obviously, if it's something that is like that, like you
comfort has to come first. That's the most important thing. I'm comfortable in 2-inch heels and even higher sometimes, but I've had my issues.
Yeah. And then Sarah said, don't take off any supportive parts of your costume until it's completely done. Fully agree. Because once at the end of the day, once this corset comes off, we're not getting back into drag. Like it's done for the day. It's just not gonna happen. So like anything that's like keeping you up or together, like once that's done, we're done for the day. Because like even sometimes if like I have like an after party or whatever to go to, I'll just stay in the corset because it's just like it's not worth trying to force. Like once I Ursula out of this, like you just can't. You can't just get it all back in there. So also we got a question in the Q&A also from Sarah. Have you ever been responsible for someone else's disaster? I fortunately have not been the result of someone else's disaster, at least as far as I can think of right now. I've helped people with their disasters. I have sewn many people into a costume or dress or whatever over the years. That's also, I'm a theater person. So if I have a needle and thread, it's something, I got you, girl. I at a drag show, I was helping our friend Dax ! And she was wearing her Batman Returns Catwoman. And literally the zipper just like snapped off as I was trying to zip it up. And I said, someone get me a needle and thread. I sewed her completely into that thing and like, I'm talking like I went up, I went down, I went back up again. So I was like, I don't know what she's gonna do. She could like try to do a backflip or something because like who knows what drag queens are gonna do on stage.
You can Hulk out of it.
Yeah, she literally could have. So I like really like supported that thing. And then when we got back, so she stayed in it. We drove back to her house, and I had to then cut her out of it. I had to cut all the stitches up. What about you, Dame Dahlia? Have you been responsible for someone else?
Not really, but indirectly. I was helping someone fix their glasses. It was cosplay glasses. It was the girl used plastic forks and knives to make these glasses. I don't understand, but I tried to fix it and broke it.
Oh.
Thankfully I had some super glue and Gorilla Glue, and was able to get them fixed really quick. But that was the only time, and now I probably will not help anybody because I don't want to be that person to break something, because I felt really horrible at the time.
I mean, definitely. What about you, Jazmine? Have you ever inadvertently or advertently been responsible for someone else's
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, luckily, unfortunate, but I can say that it is so great that we have our cosplay nurses out there who are constantly roaming the halls with needle and thread, staples, duct tape, super glue of all kinds, sometimes even little portable sewing machines to fix us. I've had to avail them of their services many times. One time I needed a quick stitch on my heel, and there was a crafter working on, she was sewing little felt dragons, and she was literally sewing them. And I was like, could you sew this deal for me really quick? And she was like, sure, no problem. So I bought a dragon because, that's what you do.
In the Q&A, Jazmine, you mentioned a Daphne costume. Have you worn that to a past Farpoint before? I feel like I might have seen you in it.
I have worn it. I may have worn it to a Farpoint. Was I?
You did that
2 years ago.
These photos actually just came up. It was you and me and Jessica were there, and I was Daphne that one time.
That was the day I was Loxana. That was day 2.
That's right, Loxana. Yeah, I've also worn it to Baltimore Comic-Con a couple of times, and to same hotel, but a horror con.
It's called Monster Mash.
That was it, Monster Mash.
Yeah, because that was when you were at the Farpoint booth. Like the first 2 days, and then Dax and I were there for the last day.
Just bros in makeup.
Yeah. Okay, so like when Dax and I showed up that day, and like we were both in full makeup because we were getting to the convention, and Jazmine was leaving, and so she had already taken off her makeup. We're like, here we are.
Yeah, we just had our ball caps on.
Yeah.
Like, what's up, bro?
So quick plug for Farpoint's Friday Fix and Finish Room and Green Room Emergency Supply Kit. They're amazing. They're usually at any convention you can find somebody. I know that a very good friend of mine, Lisa McGee, she carries, because we're also theater people, and so she always has like her theater little fix-it kit with her. So usually if like something like is going wrong, I'm like, Lisa, where are you? Oh, yep, we already answered that. So our second, we can talk about like our second ones. So not so much like a costuming disaster as it was just like a con disaster was 2 years ago at Awesome Con. I actually broke my foot the night before the convention. I'm like, this is so terrible. So Dax and I went out the night before on the Thursday night, and again, I walked the full streets of DC in 6-inch heels, totally fine. Get back to the hotel, and it goes from tile to carpet, and my heel got caught on that little metal thing that kind of like separates them, and I fell over. It wasn't a big deal. It was like, okay, cool. So stood back up, took my shoes off. I'm like, okay, I've already fallen once. Like, I'm done. Get in the elevator, go back up to our room. I'm like, my foot kind of hurts, but obviously, whatever. And so the next day, I did my Captain Green Lantern look, and so I have like these boots. So I was like, oh, these will probably be good for my foot because it'll give it like support. That's another thing too. Boots also seem to help like give you like a support if you're looking for like more of a supportive shoe, because like, you know, it kind of like gives you that extra. And I mean, of course, like those boots I was wearing were still like 5-inch heel boots because I'm a crazy person. And so I did those all day. And then I was like, oh, do you know, my foot still really hurts. And so we had an after party that night. And so as I was changing, I was trying to put one of like my stiletto shoes on and my foot was swollen. It was purple. I just could not get it on. So instead I wore a different pair of like, just like 3-inch boots. And I had to wear those for the rest of the convention because I just, like my poor foot just would not function properly. But it was fully broken. I obviously did not go to the doctor until afterwards. So I was like, I had a con to do. I got stuff to do. She's a professional. She's not canceling. I'd already paid for the hotel. Like I wasn't gonna, like, you know, like I'm already here. So I do not recommend doing that. Obviously, you know, health and safety and all of that stuff first. But it was definitely a choice that I made. Fortunately, it was just a small little break in my foot. I had to wear a boot for about 6 weeks. So it's fine, like in the, you know, long term, but it was definitely a choice that I made. Dame Dahlia, another example.
Oh my. There's a lot.
Oh.
There one that I actually learned from is I had assembled all of these costume pieces and I had actually put the costume on the day before we left for the hotel for the con. And so, you know, I wanted to make sure that everything was right, that I knew how to get everything on, and my cat. So somehow when I got everything packed up after doing all of that, I left out my belt. And it was for Black Widow. Kind of needs her belt. So I was like, great, what do I do? Who cares? I'm going to wear it anyway. So I walked around as Black Widow without a belt, without anything that showed that she was Black Widow, but it was fine. But now what I do is I have all of my costume pieces in their own container and they're all labeled. It says Black Widow. This is the wig you need. These are the shoes that you need. And this is everything else that's in, you know, for Batwoman, same thing. This is my, you know, this is the costume itself. This is the wig and everything that you need, because, you know, I wear the same wig for multiple costumes because, you know, why not? The same thing with shoes. You know, I'm gonna wear the same shoes for different costumes. So I have that all listed. So I know, okay, this is the costume, this is what I'm gonna pick. And I don't have that issue anymore because
yeah. So I have a spreadsheet because I'm a crazy person and love spreadsheets.
I have one too.
So yeah, like, and I have it broken down. I'm like, okay, this is the character, this is the wig that I'm wearing. And also I have all of my wigs are named. So like I, you know, write the name of my wig. You know, what makeup do I need to bring with it? What, you know, all of that stuff, all typed out. But also, Dame Dahlia, while we're on you,
oh, my favorite costume.
Yeah, DJ asked, what's your favorite costume?
It really depends, but I would have to say the one that I wear the most is probably Batwoman. I do love Mary Poppins. When I wore Mary Poppins to, I think it was Farpoint, I walked down and everybody started singing. It was awesome. You know, you hear Klingon singing A Spoonful of Sugar, and it's awesome. But I like Demanda said earlier, I like the costumes, the characters that aren't really cosplayed very often. When I started being Batwoman 5 years ago, people didn't even know Batwoman existed. So, you know, it was kind of nice. You know, now, you know, I still love her. I'm so thankful that, you know, the CW has her on TV, and it's really cool. But I would say that would probably Batwoman, Mary Poppins, Atlanta, Frigga, Hippolyta.
Um,
They're all
I could
favorite.
go on.
so
It
yes,
depends on the mood.
yes, someone in the Q&A said that they call like the little thing their cosplay recipe cards. That's it.
I love
That
that.
Yeah, that's a
actually
nice little
sounds
name. Yeah.
sounds appropriate.
Jasmine, do you have another example, maybe something you've learned?
I have a bunch of little snippets. I'm just going to kind of burn through them.
Yeah, it's okay.
So again, much like Dahlia not having a proper recipe card, I actually made a TikTok of this just before I left for the convention. I'm like, you know that feeling when you're getting ready to leave for the convention and you're sure you're forgetting something? Got to the convention, got all dressed up, and then rolled again. I said, and that's how you forget your gun holster when you're playing a Cobra officer. So it was just perfect that I did actually forget something. So there was that. Another time, saying Cobra boots, you know, I'm tooling around in these and everything's fine. And then all of a sudden they start feeling funny and start making a really loud clumping sound. And it was this little rubber heel had popped off. They were a cheap brand. I actually took these to an actual cobbler and he put on a new heel and sealed it, and he did it to both so that they match. But yeah, even that half inch, you know, suddenly I was off kilter. Also with my heels, sometimes because I tie the Zentai suit around the bottom, and then it will, if you don't have it really well stitched, it will start to tear or pop off of the toe. So here I am taking photos, bam, 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 and then somebody's like, "Hey, your toe looks a different color," and I look down, and it turns out for the last 5 minutes, my Zentai suit had been up around my ankle. And I was like, great.
Hey, when that happens.
You got to make sure. So I've come up with different methods of having like little straps that go up under the toe, make sure that it stays there, and even a zipper sometimes on the heel for my 7 of 9 to just make it easier to get in and out of it.
Yeah, mine that I've done, like the boot covers like that again I got from you. Thank you for that idea. Is we leave the hole open in the back because I'm still crazy and wear stiletto heels. But we Velcro it underneath the arch of the foot, so that way the toe of the foot is still kind of. I then put gaff tape on that to give it some of that grip. So I'm not sliding around. But yeah, but the Velcro seems to work really well because it's going right underneath the arch, so I'm actually not stepping on the Velcro and like it's not moving anywhere. But yeah, oh my gosh, when I wore that all day at Anime USA, because that for my Firestar, my feet were, because I was like, I can't get up. So remember, I don't even think I took the corset off. I think I just took down like the Firestar suit so that way I could eat. But I mean, I didn't take anything off. Like, ugh. Anyway, never have a panel at 11 p.m. Like, it's terrible. However, I will say, I was like the only person that was in cosplay for our one cosplay panel because it was at 11 p.m. on that Friday night. It was a struggle. I was like, oh my gosh, why is this panel so late? In the Q&A, have you ever gotten stuck in a costume? I have. It was actually last year at Farpoint. I was Nebula, and I was like manning our table, and everybody else had left, and I was waiting for, I think, Jay Justice to come back so that way I could leave. And it was like, as soon as she left, I was like, oh, I have to pee. And I don't know. I mean, like, going to the bathroom in costume for anyone is rigmarole. For a drag queen, there's like 800 other steps that need to happen. And so like I had to pee, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I was patiently waiting and waiting. It felt like an eternity. I'm sure it was only like 2 minutes. So when she finally came back, I'd already, because I was wearing thigh-high boots, so I'd already unzipped the boots, and I just started running. Last year was also the first year ever going to that hotel where I was like down the corner, in the back, all the way around, like like at the end, far away. I felt like I was on Hoth. Like it was just so far away. So I'm like running all the way back to my room, and it was like everything just couldn't get off fast enough. Like the gloves wouldn't come off. The zipper down my back, like, because because like Zentais are already like tricky to like get on yourself, but like usually I can like get them up and like stretch them enough. And it was like the rush of needing to go to the bathroom and the fact that my face was blue and I was sweating and like things just were not happening for me. Fortunately, everything was fine and we made it. But oh, it was sketchy there for a while. I was afraid, but it happened. What about you, Dame Dahlia? Have you ever been like trapped in a costume?
Oh yeah, several times. Hippolyta, full body armor. But then there was the one time I did Starlet O'Hara,
Mm-hmm.
from the Carol Burnett skit with the curtain rod.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like curtains and a 60-inch hoop skirt. Also my Civil War Black Widow is a 60-inch hoop skirt, Civil War era frock. So both of these dresses were huge, and going to even, you know, the handicap restroom is not big enough for a 60-inch hoop skirt. So I'm happy to get undressed to go to the bathroom in the middle of the bathroom, you know, not into a stall, just, okay, fine, whatever, I don't care. Just go and just do your thing. And then you have to get back dressed again. And getting that curtain back over me to where I could move. And without a handler, it's next to impossible to get out of a door with a curtain rod. It was, I was smart and had a plastic one that moved. So I could shorten it when I had to walk around, and then I could lengthen it out for when I was on stage competing, or, you know, for pictures or whatever. But it was still incredibly hard to navigate a hallway. And I don't know how many people I had to apologize to for hitting them.
Yeah.
Because somebody would start talking to me. I would wait. Oops, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hit you with my curtain rod.
That is definitely a thing. Like having handlers is amazing. Not always possible, but we love our friends and family who do that for us. What about you, Jasmine? Have you ever been trapped?
I've never been trapped into a cosplay per se, and so I've got a couple of stories here. But so I recently had top surgery, and I tried to put on one of my old Navy uniforms, which is made of very sturdy wool. It is not forgiving at all. So getting into it, you know, it was just like a tight shirt. And I got into it, and I was like, okay, and I got a couple pictures. I couldn't get it back over my head. It wouldn't come loose enough to get it to move. So I actually started to have a little bit of a panic attack that I was going to be stuck in this thing or have to go get a neighbor to come and help me get out. Fortunately, I calmed down and got through it. But also, I deliberately don't eat or drink at conventions, especially when I'm in a Zentai suit and a corset, so that I don't have to go into the bathroom. Because early on, when I was walking around as Samus, and I said, oh, okay, I got to go to the bathroom. So I went into the ladies' bathroom, and I went into a stall, and I got all undone, and I did my thing. And then, well, certain aspects of my cosplay required me to lay down to put things back together. And you don't want to do that on a dirty bathroom floor. So yeah, I learned that one really quick. And then lastly, certain cosplays, especially this one, they have this U zipper that goes down here.
I hate the U zipper. Some people work for some people. I'm not a fan.
Agreed. I'm never going to use them again if I can avoid it, because the fabric stretches and you have to get the zipper in just the right placement. So you're pulling this down here and then it's still stuck, especially if it's way up in the armpit. On my other Spider-Man, I actually had this one, luckily I can zip all the way up from the other side. It's usually two zippers. But on my Spider-Man, I actually had my tailor add a loop of silk fabric so that I can, you know, kind of get a little bit, because I couldn't get my hand up into that area and get enough go. So that loop helps me, but it's still a pain getting the fabric to align just right. So I'm looking forward to my girlfriend. She was at the convention yesterday and saw me getting in and out of it. And she was all like, oh, wow, yeah, I'm glad to help. And she says she wants to be my cosplay Sherpa. So we're still working
Nice.
that.
All right, there was more to that question. So, oh, okay. Oh no, we kind of covered all the stuff that Sarah said. So suddenly discover that you can't get dressed in one by yourself. Yes. Been unable to sit or go to the restroom by yourself. Yeah, we kind of covered all of those things. I mean, sitting in a corset is not the best. I prefer to perch on stools and tall chairs just because anything lower than 90 degrees is not ideal. Even when I'm sitting in a chair, I literally just kind of
You're always perched right on the edge. You do sit that way.
Okay. Blah 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 blah. Sorry. So I was reading another thing in the chat. What was I saying? Yeah. So
I have noticed that you do indeed sit on the edge of your chairs.
Yes, I literally do. It's more of a like comfort in a corset for me, because like if I try, because like this is me sitting back in this chair. This is not comfortable. Like I'm still like a full like straight line. It's just not. So yeah, sitting is awkward. Like I've also done like big giant poofy skirts, which are not fun to sit in because then your crinoline is now like up to here, and so you're like hold all that shit down. I'm trying to think what other kind of like awkward body stuff happens. I mean, so here, I've been doing drag for a long time. Cosplay is pretty much drag for me, and it is drag for me. I am used to the discomfort that is cosplay / drag. Like, I'm never comfortable. So, like, if anyone's like, "Oh, how do you deal with it?" I'm just not comfortable, and I'm just used to not being comfortable, which is kind of a weird thing to say, I guess. But it's like, oh, doesn't a corset hurt? Yes. Don't heels hurt? Yes. Doesn't wearing 4 layers of spandex to hold in all of the couch cushions that you have around your hips hurt? Yes. It does. So like you just kind of get used to it. Wearing a wig for an extended period of time hurts. Wearing lashes.
I was very surprised with wigs. Like my first Samus wig it's a very heavy wig, but then there's also a clip-on ponytail that hangs down to my ass. And I didn't realize how much weight that ponytail was putting, and it was slowly throughout the day pulling this wig back. And again, somebody points out, they're like, hey, I can see some brown hairs starting to peek through your wig. And it's like, great, the last 10 photos I've taken look like crap. So I started pinning it like really heavily with bobby pins.
Yeah, another thing from AwesomeCon 2 years ago, a friend of mine beautifully sculpted this wig for Betty Kane Batgirl that I wore. The hair, so like I got a few really good pictures of it. But he had built a wig inside of a wig, so it was really heavy and it just had all of this hair. It was stunning for the first 10 minutes that I wore it. It was so heavy and it just pulled. And I did pin it in, but I have really short natural hair, so that it doesn't like really pin really well. And I'm not like I'm a crazy drag queen, but I'm not like one of the crazy queens who like puts on what are those called? A wig cap and like duct tapes it to my head. I'm not there yet. Maybe one day I will be, but I'm not there yet. But so all day it was like pull it forward. Dax had to re-sculpt it at one point because it had just like all fallen back. What I really should have done is we should have gone into the bathroom, ripped out that second wig, and just moved on with our lives. But
well,
whatever.
With Frigga, that wig is actually 3 wigs. And a huge ponytail. And I was very concerned about the weight. And they have headbands that you can get that go around. and it actually helps keep the wig from sliding back, and it does help from the heaviness. I mean, it still is horribly heavy, and it's still,
Oh,
it looks good, but it's really heavy.
yeah, I mean,
And the
I've had-
headache that it caused from having that much weight just pulling down.
Mhm.
The one thing that I'm concerned about with Cleopatra is the headpiece.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be heavy AF.
It's very heavy. It weighs about 20 pounds.
I mean, just with so I love sewing, and by love, I love sewing extensions into hair. It is tedious, but it makes wigs look so beautiful. So when I talked about it in the earlier panel today, when I did Vertigo, I sewed 2 bags of hair into that wig, and she's so heavy. And I did like one of those like big giant aerial bangs. And like when I was on this online event wearing it, and like you could just see my head doing this, like the, like the whole time, because it was just so heavy.
The wig tilt.
So we got our 10-minute warning. So really quick, DJ asked each of us, what is our next goal costume? Jasmine, do you want to start?
My next goal is something that I was planning a year ago before COVID hit. I got an Alice in Wonderland, classic Disney Alice in Wonderland dress from a friend, and she's a little shorter than I am. So when I put it on, it just looks a little small. It also came with a wig, and I was like, okay, how about I took it to my tailor and I said, I want you to make it smaller. And she's like, you want me to what? I said, I want you to shrink the dress, and then we're going to tear it in very specific places. So it literally looks like I'm growing or bursting out of it. I call it cosplay in action. And we looked into it. I've never seen this before, because in the Alice in Wonderland cartoon, her clothes grew and shrank with her. In the movie, when she shrank down, she ended up wearing a glove as like this long evening dress kind of thing. And when she grew again, it did not grow as much, but it still was big enough to fit her as like a mini skirt or a mini dress. But so there's never been an Alice in Wonderland where she ate the cake and started to grow and the clothes did not grow with her. So that's what I'm going to try and pull off. Carry around a cake that's like sized down about 50%, and it just looks like I'm starting to hulk out of this Alice in Wonderland dress.
That sounds great, Dame Dahlia.
That would be the Elizabeth Taylor's Cleopatra Roman entrance. I've been working on it for a year now. I did take some time off because COVID, but I've gotten the headpiece mostly finished. I just have the back part to finish up. Again, that's, I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to actually wear this thing that weighs pounds on my head and be able to move. And it's also 2 feet tall. So, definitely I'm going to be thanking my handlers as I walk around a convention center. And I have to be able to take it off, because I'm not going to be able to wear it for hours and hours.
I mean, that sounds like something you wear to like in one evening thing.
Yeah, it's going to be a masquerade costume.
Yeah, and then like that's it. And then just take a lot of beautiful photos.
Yeah, I have a photographer lined up for when I do get it finished.
Sounds like it's gonna be stunning.
It's heavy. The cape is all hand beaded. So it's actually a very heavy costume, but it's going to be so worth it, and it's going to look really regal. And I'm hoping that, as I walk around the convention, that people will stop. Stop.
First of all, people are gonna have to stop because they need to give you room.
I'm gonna be like, I'm just hoping they just do this. That's all I want.
So I also am already currently working on, so this has been a cosplay goal of mine forever. So Cerise from the Excalibur series, a artist on Instagram gave her a fun redesign. And so I am already working on that. I already have my friend Miss Carol making the suit out of that beautiful Yaya Han black pleather, and she also found a beautiful hot bubblegum pink liquid spandex, and like a magenta 4-way stretch that we're making the suit out of. I already have all of the foam and all of the hair to make her headpiece. So for those of you, look it up on my Instagram. She has like this feathered out hair and this giant ponytail that comes out of like this headpiece. So I already bought all the foam. My friend Dax is going to help me build it. And we're going to make the wig attached into the headpiece. So that's going to be another thing where I don't know how it's going to work once I've got it on my head, but it's
I'm
going
here
to.
for it. I'm here for it.
However, we did find
Reese is like an old crush of mine.
Yes. So we did find another cosplayer that we follow on Instagram. His name is Nerd Alert Cosplay. When he did his Omega Red, he used a Coke bottle top, and he cut it off so that way the screw is there, and put that into the foam headpiece, and then attached the ponytail onto the cap. So that way it's a detachable ponytail.
Oh.
And I'm like, that is effing brilliant. All right. So to wrap us up here, JA has asked us one more question, and that is for everyone. Do you take the season into account when choosing a cosplay? For example, middle of July versus middle of December. I'm gonna answer first because mine's easy. No, because I'm always hot. I'm always uncomfortable. It doesn't matter what I wear. I'm going to be hot and uncomfortable. If is it Katsucon, I'm going to be outside. I'm going to be hot and uncomfortable. Is it going to be Atlanta in the middle of DragonCon? I'm going to be hot and uncomfortable. So it kind of doesn't matter to me.
I certainly do. I do a lot of charity work with kids. A lot of those events are in the summer outside. I could not be Batwoman with that black suit, and my cape is 10 yards of fabric for Batwoman. I mean, it's huge, it's heavy. There's just no way. I do bombshell Batwoman for when we do like baseball games and stuff, because it's a short little dress and it's a lot more comfortable. One of the reasons I'm working on a Power Girl with pants, just so, because the white is going to be a lot more comfortable to wear in the summertime. In the winter, I pretty much can do anything, or inside I have to watch the fabric type, just because, as Amanda said, I'm always hot. Woman of a certain age, I am always hot. So I have to watch that. But for the most part, at a convention, I have 4, maybe 5 costumes. So if I'm wearing one and it's just uncomfortable and I'm hot, I go up to the room, I change into something different, and that works. But, by the time at a convention, there's all of the, the Spanx, the corsets, all of that. For charity events, I don't do that. I don't have the support garments on, for instance, in, outside in August. I'm from Texas, so I know how to deal with the heat, and loose and comfortable rule the day in the summertime when you're outside.
What about you, Jasmine?
Well, most of my cosplays are a skin tight bodysuit, so I really just have to, Under Armour is my best friend. Wear an extra layer of tights underneath in the wintertime. And I've noticed that certain fabrics breathe better and differently than others. So if it is the summer and I'm outside and I've only got the one layer, but it's not, it's still retaining all the heat and killing me. But for the most part, I just wear whatever I'm feeling like. Usually I tailor the cosplay to the convention. Like, Samus is a video game character, so I wear her to the video game convention. Spider people are comic books, so I wear them to the comic book convention. So I don't put, because most conventions are indoors. Sure, you go outside for a few minutes to get some photos, even at like Katsucon in the middle of February. But usually it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, I would say my cosplays are definitely more geared toward whatever convention that I'm at versus what time of year it is. Again, like this leather jacket. So I wore this leather jacket at Katsucon. I should say pleather. With just like it was more like a jazzercise leotard. The character's name is Freefall from Image Comics. I was still hot AF, and it was windy outside at Katsucon. But you know, again, I'm wearing 10 pounds of hair, 10 pounds of spandex. You know, this pleather jacket, like it is pooling inside of it. Like it is going to be gross when I take this off.
Mhm.
But again, so just real quickly to wrap it up, my name is again Demanda Martini. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, lots of different things. If you would like to continue talking to me, find out like what it is that I'm up to, please follow me on social media. You can message me on any one of those. I'm really good about getting back to all messages that are sent to me. Dame Dahlia.
I'm Dame Dahlia on Facebook more often, but Instagram and Twitter as well. I respond very well. I like to help people getting started in cosplay, or if they have questions, especially with foam smithing, that type of thing. But other than that, catch me up online.
And Jazmine.
I am out there and around. I don't have a dedicated Facebook or Instagram for Jasmine Cosplays anymore, but if you look up at JazRay22 on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, that's me. Usually you'll have to request access just because I'm kind of got things locked down for a little while right now. But Better Backstories is also on Twitter and Instagram at backstories22. Or you can just go to the website, www.betterbackstories.com, or come to my table and we'll talk.
So thank you everyone for joining us today. And thank you to Jazmine and Dame Dahlia for being here with us. Thank you to Farpoint. We love it here. Hopefully we'll be able to see you guys in person next year. Thank you guys so much. Bye.
Bye.
Going out there.